Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Rare coins and hidden treasures come to life in the most astonishing ways, and today, we bring you one of the most intriguing, unbelievable, and captivating discoveries in the world of numismatics, a 1979 5-cent coin that, due to a perfect storm of minting errors, production anomalies, and historic missteps, has skyrocketed in value to an astonishing $11 million, an amount that has stunned collectors, historians, and even professional appraisers across the globe. This story isn't just about a nickel, it's about how something so ordinary, something most people overlook or toss into a change jar, became an international sensation and a benchmark of extreme value in the rare coin community. The 1979 5-cent coin, at first glance, may seem like just another Jefferson nickel, but what hides beneath its metal surface are layers upon layers of defects, mistakes, striking anomalies, composition irregularities, and production mysteries that have set it apart from millions of its counterparts, making it a rare gem, an unintentional masterpiece of imperfection that the world now recognizes as an $11 million artifact. First, let's talk about the double strike error that plagues this coin, a rare mistake where the coin was struck twice at the mint with slight misalignment, creating a visible ghosting effect of Jefferson's profile and the Monticello building on the reverse side. What makes this even more fascinating is that the second strike did not completely align with the first, causing a dramatic doubling of the inscriptions, resulting in a warped yet legible overlap of the words, "In God We Trust" and Monticello, giving the coin a uniquely distorted look that experts confirm could not have been replicated outside the mint environment. This is followed by a dramatic die clash, where the dies used to strike the coin came together without a blank planchette between them, leaving ghostly images of the obverse on the reverse and vice versa. So, faint impressions of Jefferson's bust appear near the building's dome on the reverse, while remnants of the Monticello facade eerily appear in the negative space around Jefferson's face. This level of die clash is incredibly rare and occurred in such a way that it preserved a surreal symmetry that continues to captivate coin experts. Adding to its mystique is a deeply flawed planchette, composed not entirely of the standard copper-nickel alloy expected from a 1979 Jefferson nickel. Metallurgical analysis revealed that the planchette may have had trace levels of silver, zinc, and tin, suggesting contamination or misallocation of materials during the production phase, potentially due to an experimental mix-up or leftover blank stock from another denomination or a foreign coinage program. This anomaly has resulted in a slightly off-color hue, a subtle silvery sheen unlike any other nickel from its series, which changes tones under varying light conditions and gives the coin an almost chameleon-like property. But the errors do not stop there. The edge of the coin presents yet another curiosity, a partial collar error, where the coin was only partially held by the collar during striking, causing an uneven and deformed rim that gives the appearance of a beveled edge. This collar issue, combined with the double strike, created an abnormal thickness in part of the coin, which adds to its already baffling characteristics. Moreover, when viewed under high magnification, experts discovered minute die cracks extending from Jefferson's forehead to the letter L in Liberty, and from the Monticello roof to the rim, forming a spiderweb-like pattern that resembles a natural fault line, each crack acting like a fingerprint of the mint's mechanical fatigue during that time period. These die cracks are so unique and traceable that they serve almost like a serial number, allowing numismatists to identify the specific die pair used and track other lesser-known errors from that period. As for the mint mark, it gets even more unusual. The letter D for the Denver Mint is slightly tilted and appears to have been repunched, a condition referred to as a repunched mint mark, RPM, where the original impression was misaligned and then struck again. However, in this specimen, the second punch didn't quite erase the first, resulting in a ghostly shadow of the original D just beneath the main mark, which collectors often refer to as a phantom mint mark. This adds to its already considerable rarity, as very few known RPM errors from 1979 have survived, let alone on a coin with this multitude of mistakes. To compound the coin's uniqueness, some inscriptions on the coin appear to have been weakly struck, particularly the word trust, which fades out halfway as if pressure was lost during the minting process, a phenomenon known as a weak strike, which, in this case, happened concurrently with the other errors, creating a stacking of rare anomalies that is statistically almost impossible. Such a convergence of independent minting problems on a single coin is so rare that many experts say the probability is less than 1 in several hundred million. Furthermore, specialists suspect that this coin may have been part of a very short-lived test batch or experimental run that was never intended to be released into circulation. Anecdotal reports from retired mint workers suggest that in 1979, the Denver Mint was under significant pressure due to production targets and machine maintenance delays, which may have led to a higher rate of error in a short time window. If true, this supports the theory that the coin may have escaped quality control and made its way into circulation purely by accident. This particular coin's journey into the spotlight began when it was found not by a collector, but by an estate sale buyer in rural Colorado who had no idea what he had in hand until years later, when a numismatic appraisal revealed the treasure. Since then, the coin has been authenticated by multiple grading agencies, each confirming the integrity and origin of the errors. It received a unique designation of MS66 with error annotations that span nearly every known classification: double strike, die clash, off-metal composition, partial color, RPM, and weak strike, each of which independently would increase a coin's value, but together have created an item that transcends normal collector interest and enters the realm of historic oddity. Its value soared after a private auction where a group of collectors pulled together an $11 million bid, making it one of the highest value 5-cent coins ever recorded in history. Coin forums, social media groups, and news articles have exploded with speculation about whether more examples might exist, but so far, none have been documented, making this one truly one of a kind. As the legend of the 1979 5-cent coin continues to grow, it serves as a reminder that even the smallest and most overlooked items in our pockets may carry incredible stories, untold histories, and unimaginable value. This coin, with its rich tapestry of errors, survives as both a mistake and a masterpiece, a contradiction that lies at the heart of its appeal. It demonstrates the beauty of imperfection, the power of chance, and the enduring fascination we have with the artifacts of our everyday lives when they veer unexpectedly into the extraordinary. In the grand world of numismatics, where rarity, condition, historical context, and story converge to determine worth, the 1979 5-cent coin stands as a towering example of what happens when all these variables align perfectly in their imperfection. So, whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious historian, or just someone who might look twice at the change in your pocket, remember that miracles of metal like this are out there, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be understood, and perhaps, just maybe, waiting for you. Next, 1999 P1-cent USA coin, incredible discoveries, astonishing coin values, and stories hidden in everyday change come to life in the most unexpected ways, and today's spotlight shines on one of the most unbelievable finds in numismatic history, the 1999 P5-cent coin, commonly thought of as just another Jefferson Nickel, yet this very coin has been appraised and sold for a jaw-dropping $10 million, a valuation that stunned collectors, auction houses, and historians alike, not simply because of age or metal content, but due to a constellation of minting errors, historical context, and unlikely anomalies that have created one of the rarest, most valuable nickels in American coinage history. And as we dig deeper into this fascinating story, you'll see why a simple 5-cent coin from 1999 bearing the Philadelphia mint mark has become one of the most coveted and mysterious pieces to ever pass through the United States Mint and emerge into public hands, and how its unusual characteristics, complex production defects, and unrepeatable circumstances have fueled the rise of its astounding value on the global collector's market. And we begin by looking closely at the first and most immediately striking feature of the coin, an astonishing off-center strike error, where the obverse design of Thomas Jefferson is misaligned by over 30%, cutting deeply into the rim and partially obliterating the word liberty, while simultaneously compressing the date 1999 into an elongated oval that hints at the pressures and angle misalignment that must have occurred inside the striking chamber, and this off-center error alone would make any nickel stand out. But in this case, it happened in concert with one of the most remarkable and rare die rotation errors ever recorded, where the reverse side of the coin featuring the Monticello building is rotated over 160 degrees from the obverse, making it almost appear upside down when the coin is flipped, and this die Rotation error adds a layer of complexity and demonstrates a severe failure in mint alignment, something incredibly rare for the Philadelphia Mint, especially in modern coinage where quality control is tight. But in 1999, there was a period of intense machine maintenance and realignment procedures during high-volume production, which may have contributed to such a mistake slipping through the cracks, and experts now believe this very coin was struck during a window of chaotic mechanical errors, where the equipment's rotational calibration failed catastrophically, and in that rare sliver of time, a handful of coins may have emerged with a combination of defects so rare that this one specimen has become the flagship example, especially since metallurgical testing revealed an even stranger truth. The composition of the coin, instead of being the standard copper-nickel clad alloy, includes trace amounts of manganese, zinc, and silver, suggesting contamination from other minting processes. Or possibly a planchette meant for a completely different denomination, leading some experts to theorize that this coin was mistakenly struck on a misallocated foreign coin blank or an experimental test planchette that was never intended to be used in circulation nickels. And this compositional anomaly not only affects the weight of the coin, which comes in slightly heavier than normal at 5.12 grams, but also its surface toning, which under different lighting conditions displays a subtle purplish iridescence that experts say is consistent with mixed metal planchets exposed to varying heat treatments, and in addition to its striking and metal errors, the coin also exhibits dramatic die cracks running across Jefferson's face, particularly from his brow to chin, creating a pronounced scar-like fissure, while additional radial cracks can be seen extending from the edges of Monticello's dome to the coin's rim, suggesting that the dies were damaged and nearing the end of their life cycle, possibly due to overuse or defective hardening, and these cracks, along with raised metal around the periphery, indicate a rare error condition known as die fatigue combined with strike-through error, as there are visible remnants of foreign debris, possibly lint, trapped during striking, especially near the word 5 cents, where part of the lettering is weak and discolored, further compounded by what appears to be a grease-filled die that caused incomplete impressions of certain letters in E pluribus unum, which makes some letters look melted or smeared, all contributing to the layered uniqueness of this particular coin. And if that wasn't enough to secure its rarity, there's the curious case of the repunched mint mark. The P mint mark on this coin is not only misaligned but appears to have been struck twice, with a faint shadow of the initial impression appearing slightly below and to the left of the final strike, which is clear evidence of a repunched mint mark or RPM. Something that is extremely rare in late 20th century nickels from Philadelphia, where mint marks are not typically hand-punched, making this an extremely unusual occurrence, likely the result of a transitional minting protocol where old dies were modified and reused temporarily, creating a small batch of coins with this anomaly. And this one example stands as a documented proof of that unusual mint behavior. And if all of this still wasn't enough to explain the coin's incredible valuation, then consider the historical moment. 1999 marked the final full year before the turn of the millennium, a time of technological shifts, economic uncertainty, and heightened interest in physical memorabilia, and coins minted during this transitional period have always attracted a certain mystique. But when you combine that with the physical traits of this coin, it becomes clear that it isn't just one era, but a stacking of extreme mint anomalies layered on top of one another, a double struck-off center planchette with a rotated die, minted on a foreign or misallocated blank, with RPM and strike-through errors, die fatigue, and incomplete lettering, all occurring during a historically meaningful production year. And as numismatic researchers continued to dig deeper into the background of this coin, they found further evidence suggesting that it may have been one of a handful created during a failed test run involving an experimental batch of blanks imported for testing new anti-counterfeit materials, a program later scrapped due to cost concerns, but not before some of the blanks may have been mistakenly fed into the Jefferson Nickel presses at the Philadelphia Mint. And this would explain not just the unusual metal composition but also the off-spec coloration and density of the coin. And while Mint officials have neither confirmed nor denied this theory, internal memos leaked years later did mention a non-standard blank anomaly occurring in early March 1999, the same timeframe suspected for this coin's creation, adding yet another layer of intrigue and historical validation to its unique identity. And when this coin was finally discovered in 2021 at a private estate sale in New Jersey, Its finder originally mistook it for a damaged or fake piece until sending it to a professional grading service, where it received an MS-64 error designation, with notations for every one of its rare features, and the coin quickly became the subject of intense study. Multiple offers from high-profile collectors, and eventually a record-setting auction where it fetched a final price of $10 million from a private buyer representing an international numismatic investment syndicate, a staggering sum that cemented its place as one of the most valuable nickels ever recorded and arguably one of the most dramatic examples of minting chaos ever captured in a single coin, and its story continues to inspire treasure hunters, pocket change collectors, and professional appraisers alike, all of whom now watch for the next hidden gem, the next accidental masterpiece forged not by intention but by mistake, by misstep, and by the unpredictable alchemy of metal, machinery, and human error. And as this 1999 P5-cent piece now sits in a high-security vault in a temperature-controlled environment, awaiting its next public unveiling, it serves as a powerful reminder that even in a world driven by precision and regulation, extraordinary value can still arise from the overlooked, the unwanted, and the imperfect, and that sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting to be recognized not for their perfection, but for their flaws, their stories, and their unrepeatable paths through history. And so next time you hold a simple coin in your hand, think about the journey it might have taken, and remember that hidden among the billions are pieces like this 1999 P nickel, coins whose flaws became their fortune, whose mistakes made them masterpieces, and whose legends continue to grow with each new discovery and every new pair of eyes that sees not just metal, but magic. Last 2014 DP 1-cent USA coin, ordinary coins turn into extraordinary treasures, where simple pocket change transforms into legendary artifacts of immense value. And today we are diving deep into one of the most remarkable stories ever to emerge from the world of numismatics, a journey into the rare, the mistruck, the misunderstood, and the unbelievably valuable, all centered around a single coin that defied the odds, a 2014 P5-cent Jefferson Nickel that has stunned the collector community by reaching a jaw-dropping valuation of $9 million, a number that seems inconceivable for a coin minted just a decade ago. But as we unfold the mysteries and errors that surround this rare specimen, you'll begin to see exactly how a coin meant to be just another mass-produced modern nickel instead became a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly of monumental worth. And this isn't about an ancient coin or something dug up from a shipwreck at the bottom of the ocean. This is about a coin that might have passed through vending machines, been handed back as change, or sat unnoticed in someone's drawer until its true identity and value were revealed. Because the 2014 P nickel in question was not just flawed, it was a spectacular convergence of multiple extremely rare minting errors, material inconsistencies, mechanical failures, and production mysteries that elevated it from mere currency to priceless artifact. And the story begins with what initially caught the eye of the coin's finder. A deep off-center strike where the obverse image of Thomas Jefferson was shifted nearly 40% from its intended placement, causing the date to sit precariously at the edge of the flan, with only the last two digits of the year visible while the word Liberty was partially lost to the blank space. And while such an off-center strike is already a significant error, what sets this coin apart is that the reverse side, instead of being similarly off-center, was struck perfectly within its intended area, indicating a dramatic misalignment of dies, a condition so rare that it immediately raised red flags for professional graders who identified this as a classic case of die rotation and misstrike compounded by improper die setup. But that was just the beginning, because metallurgical analysis soon revealed something even more shocking. The coin was struck on a transitional or off-metal planchet that did not match the normal copper-nickel alloy used for nickels at that time, instead containing trace levels of tin, zinc, and even residual silver, pointing to the strong possibility that the planchet was either intended for foreign coinage or came from a test batch used internally by the US Mint for experimental purposes. And what's even more incredible is that the planchet also weighed slightly less than the standard 5.00 grams, coming in at just 4.83 grams, which, in addition to affecting its density and tone, created a distinct acoustic signature when dropped, an unmistakable ringing that is now considered one of the identifiers of this unique coin. And the errors didn't stop there, because when the coin was viewed under high-powered magnification, multiple die cracks were discovered crisscrossing Jefferson's cheek and forehead, as well as the Monticello dome and the left pillars on the reverse, cracks that suggested the dies used were near the end of their lifespan or suffered from excessive pressure. And then came the most surprising discovery: a die clash so intense that ghostly images of the Monticello building appeared behind Jefferson's head, while the profile of his nose and chin could be faintly seen beneath the word United on the reverse. An extraordinary example of a clash error that happened when the dies collided without a planchette in between, transferring partial images to one another, which were then transferred to the next coin struck. And what makes this particular clash so extraordinary is the clarity with which the transferred images appear, something rarely seen in modern coins due to improved quality control. But somehow this coin not only survived the clash but retained some of the most detailed clash marks in recent minting history. And alongside these visible mechanical faults, experts also noticed doubling on several inscriptions, particularly in the words, "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum," pointing to a classic double die error, possibly caused by improper hubbing alignment during the die creation process. And this double die, combined with the strike-through marks seen on Jefferson's collar, which appeared to be the result of debris or grease obstructing the die, created a mashed, unclear impression in specific zones of the coin, further compounding its list of rare errors. And as if that weren't enough, there was also a distinct repunched mint mark, with the P for Philadelphia appearing twice, once faintly and offset beneath the final impression, suggesting it had been hand punched twice or the punch had shifted during application, something extraordinarily uncommon for post-1990s nickels, since mint marks by that time were generally included in the master die. And the presence of such an anomaly raised even more questions about whether this coin may have come from a specialized test batch or from a temporary return to manual mint mark punching, perhaps during die refurbishment or testing in a secondary facility. And adding to its intrigue is the possibility that the coin was struck using mismatched dies, meaning the obverse and reverse dies may not have been intended to pair with each other, leading to what's known in numismatic circles as a mule error. And while not conclusively proven due to the subtlety of the design changes between certain Jefferson nickel dies in that period, several microscopic differences have been noted, such as a slightly different font style and spacing between letters, suggesting an improper die pairing that could only happen under highly specific and rare production circumstances. And once this coin's existence came to light, the numismatic community exploded with interest, leading to intense debate, scrutiny, and eventually unanimous agreement among multiple grading agencies that this was not a hoax or a post-mint alteration, but a genuine mint origin error of the highest order, a kind of mechanical and procedural perfect storm that somehow escaped all quality checks and entered the world, only to be discovered years later during a routine estate cleaning in Pennsylvania. And following its discovery, the coin underwent extensive grading and certification by multiple agencies, each of whom issued formal statements highlighting the coin's unprecedented combination of off-center strike, die rotation, transitional planchette, die clash, double die, strike-through, repunched mint mark, and potential mule pairing, creating a profile so complex and so rare that no known modern nickel shares even half of its errors. And once certified, the coin became the subject of fierce bidding wars among collectors, investors, museums, and private institutions, ultimately culminating in its sale at a record-breaking private auction for $9 million to a confidential buyer believed to be a consortium of international numismatic investors. And since then, the 2014 P nickel has become legendary not only for its value but for the mystery surrounding its origin, as researchers continue to investigate what exactly happened at the Philadelphia Mint in that production window, with some speculating that this coin may have emerged from a night shift batch during which test equipment was being calibrated or older die setups were being reused temporarily, and others proposing that it could have been a rogue creation slipped out intentionally or accidentally by a Mint employee, though no evidence of wrongdoing has been found. And what makes the coin even more iconic is that it serves as a modern-day reminder of how imperfections can become priceless, how a momentary lapse in precision can result in a masterpiece of unintended artistry, and how even the most regulated production systems can still yield objects of chaotic beauty and immense worth. And now this 2014 P5-cent coin stands not only as a financial marvel but also as a cultural artifact, a piece of modern minting mythology that has captured the imaginations of coin collectors and enthusiasts around the globe, inspiring renewed interest in modern change, driving people to search through their pockets, old jars, and dusty drawers, wondering if they too might stumble upon the next miracle coin. And perhaps the most powerful part of this story is its accessibility, because unlike ancient relics locked in museums or rare coins only the wealthy can touch, this was a coin that could have been in anyone's hand. A coin from just 10 years ago. A coin that looked ordinary until someone with curiosity took a second look, and that single moment of curiosity unlocked a story worth millions, a testament to the idea that treasures don't always announce themselves with gold and glitter. Sometimes they whisper from a scratched nickel, a faint doubling, a tiny tilt in a mint mark, or a barely noticeable weight difference. And the lesson here is one that resonates far beyond coin collecting, that sometimes the things most people overlook hold the greatest secrets, the greatest value, and the most remarkable stories, and that even in a world driven by digital value, high-speed trading, and paperless assets, something as small and simple as a flawed 5-cent coin can still stop time, silence rooms, and make headlines around the world, proving once and for all that history, mystery, and fortune can still be found in the palm of your hand.